And so the lift is going to be perpendicular to this plane of the aircraft. So we are resolving this lift into two components, this vertical component and the horizontal component. Vertical component is nothing but the downward direction you have the weight mg, so that has to balance this cos phi. So that is equation 1. And L sin phi is mvt psi dot. So basically what we are trying to do is this mv squared by r, I am writing it as mv into v by r. Okay. And v by r is nothing but psi dot. Then you divide these two equations, you get tan phi. And for small angles, you get this relationship Vt by g into psi dot. So that's how you get this kinematics for it. So you bang the angle, the aircraft is going to turn. That's what it all means. This already, I think I showed you the angles in the lateral plane, directional plane. Sorry. Okay. So back to this autopilot. So we are trying to control the heading. So we give some reference heading and you compare it with the existing heading. Okay. And that existing heading is sensed by the attitude heading reference system. Then you get this error which gives the required controller gives the required bank angle, and then again compare it with the present bank angle, you generate a error, the controller again gives a command for the roll rate, okay, p. So this is p, decide pd, roll rate, present roll rate. Roll rate is sensed by the gyro, and then you have a loop here. Basically, you're trying to deflect the ailerons, which is going to result in the aircraft banking. So what the previous equation says is, if you bank the aircraft with some angle phi, that will result in psi dot. Okay. So that's what is happening in the kinematics part. Again, I repeat, these dotted lines are not any hardware block. You are just disturbing the aircraft, and then the aircraft gives some the variables start changing. Okay, so you have a bank angle which results with, if you integrate it over a period of time, so you get the required heading angle. Okay, and then that is sensed and it goes back. Okay. So that's also clearly you can see an inner loop and an outer loop. And inner loop is a stabilization loop, okay, that you learn in the next semester in flight dynamics, part of stability augmentation system. Okay, ACS. Okay, we started with ILS autopilot. So heading you can always uh, couple it with some VOR or anything. So you reach close to the airport, say around 40 kilometers, and then you switch on the ILS autopilots. So when you talk about ILS, we are talking about localizer and glide path. So localizer is, if you recollect, is nothing but the runway center line. So it gives two beams, and as long as you can, if the aircraft is in the center of the um, is aligned with the runway center line, then it will see both the 90 hertz and 150 hertz signal equally. Based on that, it's going to align itself. Any deviation from the center line, suppose the aircraft is at this point, it's going to see one of the signals is going to dominate over the other. So you get an error signal. So earlier days, the pilot used to look at the uh, localizer instrument and then keep aligning the aircraft. So we are trying to automate the whole process. So this is the azimuth plane. On the longitudinal plane, we had the glide path. So this is the ground, and you have some 2 degrees or 3 degrees glide path. You want the aircraft to come in a predetermined glide angle. So, so this will be around 2 degrees. 2 or 3 degrees mostly. So if it is, it can be below the glide path or it can also be above the glide path. So depending on this displacement, the glide path receiver is going to give the error in the alignment of the aircraft. So this error between the required glide path and where the actual aircraft, we'll call it as gamma V. Similarly, the error between the center line and the aircraft position in the azimuth, that beam error, we'll call it as gamma L. Okay. Little bit we'll have to understand the geometry of it. So again, just a repetition, gamma L and gamma V is the problem in the book is they use too many abbreviations, so you might find it slightly difficult to understand this concept. So these are all beam errors. This beam error is sensed by the ILS receiver, which has two parts. Okay, one is the glide part, the other one is the localized. Okay, so corresponding receivers are going to give some error signal, which will correspond to the beam error or displacement of the aircraft from the center line. So this top one is showing the localizer and bottom one is showing the glide path. So aircraft ideally should be here. It should be following this center line, whereas it is displaced by this much. Okay. Similarly, if you look at the glide path, it should be following the glide path if it is aligned properly, but you see that it is displaced by an angle. Okay. So there is an error in this thing. This 2.5 degrees is the actual glide path angle. Okay. This, I think they have mentioned it as theta B. Okay. This is the beam angle, what they call, and it is 0 for localizer. This you'll have to follow carefully. Okay. Uh, this is a generalized case, both for localizer and glide path. Then you'll have to apply few conditions to get the results for the localizer and glide path. So let us say this is theta B. Some reference axis is like this. I think easier to visualize for the glide path. Okay, let's say this is the horizontal. Uh, Now we have the glide path. So if this is the ground, so this is theta B, the 2.5 degrees or whatever it is. No, 3. Now the aircraft CG is at this point and the velocity vector is here Vt. Okay. We have seen that flight path angle is the angle between the horizontal and the velocity vector when we discussed about all the pitch angles. Okay. And if you look at this, AB is parallel to CD. Okay. So what's going to happen is if you want uh, this one is going to be nothing but theta B minus theta F. Okay, the difference of this. And what we are interested is how the velocity component which is approaching the central line. So if you look at this component, it is approaching the center line or the glide path, whatever the case may be. So it's approaching the glide center line. Okay. So if it is nothing but the sine of this is nothing but the sine of this angle, which is nothing but theta b minus sine of theta b minus theta f and the velocity vector vt. Uh, for very small angles, it is equal to u with vt is equal to u because you're talking just about the horizontal component. Uh, though it's an approximation, and small sine angles is nothing but theta b minus theta f. Okay, now the trickiest part is uh, our intention is this aircraft should reach the beam angle. Okay, this is our thing. This actually you might find it very difficult to understand, but when we do calibration of the localizer or glide path, we actually keep a telescope. It's a very painful exercise. Okay, you keep a telescope at the touchdown, make the aircraft fly, okay, along the glide path, and then keep giving instructions to the pilot to go up or down. Okay. Uh, so this used to be called as sight line. Okay, so the same terminology is the book also they used. So now imagine yourself at the transmitter, and with the crosshair of the telescope, you keep monitoring the aircraft. Okay, and then now you know whether it's up the related displacement, and you keep giving asking you ask the pilot to go up or down. Okay, that's for the calibration part of it. Okay, but for the autopilot, no one is going to keep a telescope at the touchdown. So we know that gamma is nothing but the beam error. So we want this gamma to become zero. That's our aim. Okay. If gamma is zero, it means that Sandhita, can you see this angle? See, this is the glide path. Aircraft is coming at this angle. So the error, the difference between this is called the beam error. So in case of glide path, we call it as gamma V. Okay. So generalized case, we call it as gamma. So the idea is I'm going to rotate this aircraft in such a way that gamma becomes zero. But it's a change in gamma, so definitely there is a rate of change. So it is nothing but this gamma dot is nothing but this tangential velocity by r. Okay, so it is your normal tangential velocity is equal to r omega. Okay, uh, simple, the same relationship I am using here. Instead of gamma omega, I am telling it is gamma dot. That's all. And Vt, this tangential velocity is nothing but this component. So gamma dot becomes u times theta b minus theta f by r. Just again the nomenclature. Theta f is nothing but flight path angle. Theta b is the beam angle, and gamma is the beam error. Sanjita, is it okay? Are you
Yes,
able to
sir.
get? Yeah. Uh, okay. Now I'm going to use this relationship, this basic relationship for both localizer as well as glide path. So the problem, okay, now in glide path, sorry, localizer, theta b is zero because you're not displaced from the center line, okay, and whereas in glide path there is a displacement, okay, from the horizontal. So here you call it as zero, and the flight path angle is nothing but your heading angle, psi, or yaw angle. For without side slip, it becomes just psi, the yaw angle. So we got this relationship already. Gamma dot L is nothing but if you substitute in the previous thing, uh, like this becomes zero, and theta F is the psi. So you get this relationship gamma dot is equal to u times psi by r with appropriate signs, of course, because it can be left or right. That has to be taken care. That will be taken care in the controller part itself. Okay. That sign. So we just take the magnitude right now. So what we are trying to do is align the aircraft with the, it should be 0 degrees, and set it at zero, or the pilot even doesn't set it, okay, automatically the system sets it at zero. And if there is a deviation from the runway center line, gamma L is not going to be zero. So you get some error here, this error, and this error is goes to the controller, which gives the desired yaw angle. Okay. And then it goes to the flight dynamics part of it, where you're going to deflect the aileron, and this heading command loop is what we saw earlier. Okay, so you deflect the aileron, then it bangs, and then it results in change in heading and all those things. Okay? So this is an dynamic flight dynamic loop. So there is some yaw angle. So this results with the kinematics part of it. It gives gamma dot L, and integrated over a period of time gives gamma L. So that's how the outer loop gets completed. In case of glide path, uh, theta b is not zero. Okay, so it's going to have some angle 2.5 degrees. This is, we are talking in terms of radians. Okay, so this is nothing but 2.5 degrees. So here, if you look at the velocity vector, v is, it's pointing downwards, and this is the horizontal. Okay. So that becomes the flight path angle, and body axis is like this. The aircraft is something like this. So velocity vector is like that. So you have an alpha. Okay. So theta f is nothing but uh, this theta minus alpha. So you substitute it in the main equation along with the theta b value. Okay, again, the sign conventions have to be properly taken care of, because this alpha can be above this or below that, okay, depending on the orientation of it. And assuming that even alpha to be very small, we can approximate it to be 0.044 minus theta. So what's basically happening here is, in localizer we set it as 0. Now here also we set this as 0 degrees, but we are adding this displacement over here. Okay, so that takes care of the beam angle. So what's going to happen is, if the aircraft is below or above the glide path angle, definitely the receiver is going to give out some signal, and that gets compared with 0, so it becomes minus gamma v. The controller uh, now senses this input and gives the required pitch angle. Okay, now it's the desired pitch attitude. Okay, theta d. Then you have an inner loop which takes care of the elevator deflection, and elevator deflection in turn results in theta and alpha changing. So you have theta minus alpha, that is theta f. So that results in the, see, this is your pitch attitude. This is angle of attack. So this theta minus alpha is nothing but flight path angle. So there's a change in flight path angle. This flight path angle is now I'm trying to align with the, it's not aligning with the horizontal, it's aligning with the 2.5 degrees glide path. So you apply this formula, and you get gamma dot v, and integrate it over a period of time, you get gamma v. Okay, so you get the error angle. Idea is you should finally have a gamma v of approaching 0. Okay. Okay. Now, Sandita, in this, oh, sorry, I'll keep it here. What do you think is going to be the problem in this localizer autopilot based on this equation? Or anyone from the class? Because deriving this looks very simple, but implementation part, there's going to be an issue. Okay, I'll give you a hint. Okay, just draw it here. A normal control system, okay, closed loop control system. We have a plant or the aircraft, and we used to have a sensor. Instead of sensor, we used to have amplifier K here. I can always have the amplifier here also, K. And by giving a feedback. Okay. Plus minus. This is a normal control system. Now, Sanitha, can you tell me what is happening? Why it becomes very complicated? In case of this ILS autopilots.
I don't know, sir.
Swaroop, any cases? Okay, I'll lead you into that answer. Okay, what happens when K increases? We drew all this root locus and all in control system, right? It starts from open loop poles, ends in open loop zero. So this fellow used to go like this. As you change gain K from zero to infinity. And that's what this root locus is all about. Right? How the closed loop poles move when you change some parameter. Okay, what happens when K reaches very large value in any control system? If you recollect your what you learned in root locus. Sanjay? Sanjay, can you hear me? Or anyone, yeah, from the class, just try to answer this. Nothing great, okay. What is root locus and what happens at very large values of K to any system, a closed loop system? Or Sandita, in your own words, you tell me what is root locus?
Sir, just seeing how the roots of the system will change.
When will it change? Which
Um,
which poles will change? Open loop or closed loop? So you have forgotten all your control system fundamentals.
Yes, sir. We'll have to revise.
Okay. See, it is a closed loop poles. Okay. Open loop poles will not change their position because it's all specific to a system. So it's only the closed loop poles which will change. And it changes because you're changing some parameter of it can be k. Okay. And what's happening is as you change this k value, initially you start with k is equal to 0, which is nothing but open loop. Increase k, after some time it will cross this j omega axis. So this region it is stable and right side it becomes unstable. Okay. So the system becomes unstable at large values of some parameter k. Can you recollect now what I am trying to say?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now try to correlate this with what is happening to in or this autopilot, ILS autopilot. Okay. Now this block you consider it as K. It's not a hardware thing again, okay, but it's going to be there in the system. This is K. Now tell me what happens. As the aircraft aligns with the say given glide path or say localizer and tries to touch down. Anyone from the class? It's not that difficult. See, this k is nothing but it's proportional to 1 by r. Okay, r is the distance from the touchdown. So as you approach the touchdown, this r tends to 0, right? At touchdown r is 0. So 1 by 0 is infinity, which means k is having very large values. So if k has very large values, the system becomes unstable. Getting it, Sandhita? Now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So how do you compensate for it? So as r decreases, you have to reduce the velocity also. So numerator also should decrease correspondingly. So how you are going to do it is you are going to reduce the throttle. So you have a auto throttle also coming into play. Okay. So that controls that ensures that this K doesn't go beyond manageable limits. Okay. So you have this particular thing is called gain scheduling. You are scheduling the gain because it's no longer a fixed thing. Okay, it all depends on the distance from the touchdown. So that's why this design of ILS autopilot also is a very tricky thing. Okay. Does it make sense, Aditya? Why we have to reduce the throttle? And of course, you can't go below certain limits because then it will start stalling. Okay, that is not a solution. So try to reduce you as much as possible with the auto throttle, and controller can take over some portion of the gain scheduling. Okay. Probably they can even sense it using distance measuring equipment. So you know exactly how much distance you are from the touchdown, and then change some parameter in the controller. Okay, so that gives a stable autopilot system. Okay. The last autopilot is called flare control that we'll see in the next class. So if you look at the landing process, it's actually in three parts. Okay. First is you approach. the runway. Then final approach starts from the outer marker, okay, and goes all the way up to the inner marker, and somewhere it's around 100 feet above the glide path. You are not going to hit it straight, go straight and crash on the ground. So you want to flare, okay, take an exponential flight path so that landing is soft, okay, otherwise you're going to have a very hard landing. So this flare control also can be automated. That's something we'll see in the next class. Okay, with that we'll be completing autopilot. Okay. And after that it's just flight management system. And next class I just have a look into this airing system. I forgot to do it. Sarup gave some information. I just wanted to cross check it. Probably we'll do it next class. Okay. Any doubts, Sandita?
No, sir.
Yeah, I suggest that you